Main functions can actually be covered by the top level, and the routine functions can be actually covered by the middle level and the lower level executives. 95 to 98% of the companies, they go with decentralization of authority. C is a person who is superior and D is a subordinate. Now the subordinate and superior relationship will be very healthy. As a result, the top management gets more time to take policy decisions. Hello everybody, a warm welcome to one and all. I'm Abhilash Chandra from the Department of Commerce and Management in Vidhyaashram First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence. Welcome to all the students here. Now in this session, we're going to learn about the decentralization. Now last session, I told you about the fundamental thing about delegation, that is what exactly delegation is, and we also learned about the advantage of delegation. Now we are going with the next one, that is called decentralization. Now what exactly a decentralization is? The way we went with delegation means transfer of authority. Now here decentralization means distribution of authority and responsibility. Such a beautiful topic, that is decentralization will minimize the top level performance, but here what exactly happens is they will get more responsibility and authority over other tasks, and the routine works can be done by the subordinate as well as the people who are in the supervisory level. Here if we understand that there is a reduction of time and reduction of work, now the top management can always focus on something which is very urgent as well as very important, and the routine work can actually be taken by the middle level and the lower level. Now decentralization can be understood as a orderly assignment of authority throughout the level of management in an organization. That means we have the levels of management, say top level, middle level, supervisor level. Everywhere there is a distribution of authority and responsibility. That is what decentralization is. Now centralization means one person having all the power. Now here what is that you are doing? You are taking those power from one person and distributing it to many other people so that they can get the work done efficiently and effectively, and that will result to productivity and increase in the sales, profit and all the things. It describes the way which power to take decisions is allocated among various levels in the organizational hierarchy. When we go with the organizational hierarchy, please understand we have the levels. Now everywhere we have decentralization, that is more than 2 or 3 people will take the power and the decisions will be taken by those people. That is how the decentralization works. In other words, it refers to dissemination of power. What is it? It is distribution of power, functions and responsibility away from the central location. There will be no just one person, it will be taken by many people. Decentralization lessens the burden of top level. It will lessen the burden of whom? The top level management, and gives actual work experience to some of the middle and lower level executives, which improves their morale. Now the lower level executives are there, right, and they will actually perform more. That is, the routine work will be carried by the other executives, and the top level management can focus on something about planning, organizing, staffing, controlling and directing. So the main functions can actually be covered by the top level, and the routine functions can be actually covered by the middle level and the lower level executives. Now what exactly happens in decentralization? That is the importance of decentralization. Now I have listed down few of the importance of decentralization. The first one here is quick decision making. Second is executive development of managerial skill, relevance top management, that is you will actually go with relieves the top management, facilitates growth, better control and effective communication. When we understand facilities growth, better control and effective communication, that means here you have all the importance. And many of the companies, when I say 95 to 98% of the companies, they go with decentralization of authority. So let's go with the first one, that is the quick decision making. And quick decision making is what? I'll be giving you an example of what exactly the quick decision making is all about. Let's go with centralization. When we go with centralization, please understand this. Here, one person will be there called A, and we have B, C, and D. Now, if D need to take any decisions, now what happens is, he need to tell them, done. Now the approval will happen, and only then he can take decision. That is, from A itself, he should take the decisions. Now what happens here is, decision making is time is more. That is, you are actually taking more time. That is in the centralization. Whereas if you go with decentralization, when we go with decentralization, we have A here. Now we have B. Let's assume that it is X here. Now we have C, and the same we have D also. So we have Y and Z. Let's go with this one of the example where centralization and decentralization. Though A is a boss of B as well as he is a boss of all the people, if D need to take any decisions, D will not approach anybody else, he'll approach C. And C will tell whether to do it or not. So done. That means time is reduced. Whereas in centralization, A, B, C, D, if D is supposed to take any decisions, he should ask C, but C cannot tell that whether you are supposed to take it or not, because it is all centralized. C should also ask B, B should also ask A, then A will take a decision. Time is taken more, and here time is taken less. That's why it is called quick decision making. Now decision making becomes quicker and better at the same time. Now here what happened? It is quicker plus it is better. By pushing down the power to make a decisions to operational level, which is the nearest to the situation. So who is the nearest to the situation? That is, C is the nearest to the situation, and C is a person who is superior and D is a subordinate. Now the subordinate and superior relationship will be very healthy, plus the superior will take a qualitative decision. Executive development. Now what is this executive development? Please understand this. It encourages self-sufficiency and confidence among subordinates, as when the authority is delegated to lower hands, they have to rely on their judgment. So they'll always have an executive development more in this decentralization. By such delegation, the executives are constantly challenged and they have to find solutions. Now I told you about this, like we had D here and the immediate boss was C. Now what happens is, the C becomes the executive officer here, and he is the person who should take and who should find out the solutions for the problems they face in the day-to-day operation. So whatever the problems are of D, C should always have solution with it. When you have the solution for all, now what happens is there is a development in executive format. So this is what the decentralization important is. Development of managerial skill. Now the same way here, if we go with it, one is D here and D will have a person called C. Now understand, in our decentralization structure, subordinates get an opportunity to prove their ability, and management also get a pool of competent manpower, which can be placed at more challenging and responsibility pro situation by the way of promotions. Now what happens is, C is a person who starts solving all, right? He will solve more of the problems. And D is a person who gets to know how to correct himself. And then what happens, if C feels that now D is ready with all the solutions, now C can recommend for a promotion for D. As well as what happens is, if C and D are doing really good, now even there is an employee called B who can refer C and D for the promotion. So the more and more you are proving it to your company and management, people will actually recognize you and you will get a managerial skill kind of a development, and you will get promotion as well as your salary, incentives, fringe benefit will also increase. Release top management. Now, the way C and D I told you about it, there is a top management called A. Now, what is that A is doing right now? All the routine work are carried by B, C and D and other people. Now, A will be relaxed. It reduces the extent of direct supervision over subordinates by the supervisor, as they are given the liberty to decide and act accordingly within limits set by the superior. As a result, the top management gets more time to take policy decisions. Now we have something called functions of management. What is it? Functions of management. Now here what happens is planning, organizing, staffing, directing and controlling. Now these are the functions of management. With integral part we have coordination and communication. Now when we go with coordination and communication and the functions of management, now the top management will only focus on the policy decision, and the routine work can be given to the other subordinates, and the subordinates will actually get more work done. That too productively will be more, as well as the efficiency level will also be more, and the top management can only go for these type of very important process. Facilitates growth. Now who does not want growth? If you go with more of transferring and distribution of authority and responsibility, it confers greater independency. The first thing is, the people will feel secure as well as they'll work independently to the lower management level, along with the head of departments, division units, etc., as it let them perform the functions in the way that is most appropriate for their department or division. Now they'll start adapting to the situation. They'll go with which is the best course of action, and they will be independent because the decision making power will be given to all the people. It propagates a sense of competition among various departments. Now each and every department want to prove that they are the best and they can actually lead the entire branch is what they feel. So here what happens is, to outperform others, this ultimately results in the increased production level and generates more return to the enterprises. See, everybody will be in the best way as possible. It is like development of each and every person to his or her greatest efficiency. Through decentralization, they can take independent decisions. When they start taking independent decisions, they'll always choose the most appropriate approach, and that will lead to more production as well as to get more profit in long term. Better control. Now, who will control whom? When you go with a proper decentralization channel, you will understand that who is the superior, who is the subordinate, whom to report, whom not to report. The performance of each level can be measured, and the departments are also held accountable separately for their results. Whether it is a profit or a loss, whether they are doing good or they are not doing good. Who is responsible? Each and every department by themselves. The extent to which organization goals are achieved and to contribute of each department is determined. That means even the targets are set in the decentralization. That is, each and every department need to achieve these targets which has been planned by the top level. When we understand the levels of management, where we have the top level, the middle level and supervisory level, each department will actually be given a task and a target to achieve. And who is responsible? People are responsible, and responsibility flows from bottom to top, as well as the authority flows from top to bottom. Now, when you go with it, decentralization will make sure that the levels of management is maintained and the performance should be given, because each and every person are responsible for whatever they do, and if they are doing good, they'll be appreciated. If they are not doing good, they are supposed to get trained under a person who is really good in doing those things. So decentralization will actually make sure that everybody is accountable, and that to what? They are accountable separately of their results. So that is how you will actually go with a better control in decentralization. And next one is effective communication. Now, through decentralization, you can actually get a proper communication, because you are a person who should report to your superior. Then what happens is the communication system of the organization becomes more effective through decentralization. It also builds a strong relationship between superior and subordinates. Now here what happens is, there are so many activities which the superior and the subordinate will actually go through, like a team activity, individual activity, where like icebreaker, where a subordinate will be very comfortable at least to open up with his superior. So decentralization will make sure that the subordinate will report each and everything to the superior, and in return the superior will always help the subordinate in achieving their goals and meeting their targets. So these are the importance and advantages of decentralization. Hope you have understood it. If not, please do call us. We are always there to help you. Thank you so much. I'll see you when I see you.